Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for, and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Okay, we are now live, and I hit the wrong button. There we go. My name is Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. We got an awesome show scheduled for you today, and as always, Velvet Joker, how's it going, bud?
Here I be. I'm in a good mood. Let's have a great night. What?
Hell yeah. Drew.
You're too awake, Joker. Go back to sleep. I'm also in a good mood, but you can't tell because my eyebrows are villainously arched. But I'm excited to be here.
Speaking of Joker, I got something cool to say, but I'll leave it for a minute. Jar Jar.
Hey! It's Monday.
Wait, what? Huh?
It's Tuesday.
Oh, it's Tuesday. Oh, I effed it up already.
Dear God.
I'm like, fuck. What? No.
and that's when the brownie kicked in.
Yep, right then.
Actually, not for. Never mind.
Oh.
Not for. Oh wow.
Well, we did free comic book day this weekend over at Sarge's Comics and Games.
Nice.
In New London, Connecticut. And Jar Jar dropped off a little present for me. Thank you,
Dear
Jar Jar.
God. I'm so terrified what that means.
It wasn't heard around the world.
Oh, okay, cool. I got it. That's fine.
That was a funny little pun. No. Man.
Oh boy.
I was trying to work it out. I don't know. Comedy's not always.
We'll save that for Splash Pages After Dark.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay, so I mentioned I had a Joker story, but actually I'm going to save that for the poll list. I read something that was.
You're such a tease, Leo.
God damn! How did you get married? You're such a tease. God damn it.
I don't know.
Tempting me with Jokerdom. Fine.
Yeah,
move along then. Go ahead. Yeah. Stop pausing. Go ahead. Move along.
Okay.
I actually no, really quick. So I'm jumping ahead. The poll list we're going to be talking about. I'll save it for that. I'll save it for that.
My God, make up your mind, please.
On here?
No. So there's a new book this. Well, there's a new book this week. Jurassic. What the fuck is the name of it? I got
Jurassic League.
Yes, Jurassic League. Oh my God, that is
Jurassic
such
Multiverse.
Is this DC?
DC. I started reading it, and it kicks off with Batman. That's like a Tyrannosaurus Rex or something, and Joker is like a raptor. And
that's interesting. Am I imagining it, or were there like little toys done like that in the past? Like,
I have no idea.
Sound familiar?
Like a Joker dinosaur definitely sounds familiar.
Yeah, that sounds familiar, but I
He
don't.
was a dragon at one point.
Well, I remember that with the dark metal whole thing.
The Joker dragons, yeah, that I remember.
But I remember like a little kid's toy where he was like a dinosaur. I don't know.
What Land Before Time crossover do you remember?
Could have been a dream.
Could have been.
But Leo, I guess we're going over a pull list first.
We can kick it off. I mean, it was just there
was one that looked particularly interesting to me, which was Hulk vs. Thor, Banner of War #1. It's Donny Cates and Martin Cocello.
Nice.
And I guess it's going to start with that. They're saying it's like an alpha comic. I don't know if that means it's a larger size or not.
Probably.
But
probably.
I guess it's going to cross over. It's going to be 5 issues. And I guess it's supposed to change. They're supposed to go from this to Thor, then to Hulk, then I think back and forth. And I guess it's supposed to affect both their storylines. So, Donny Cates always strings a good story. So that looked fun.
That's true.
And less intriguing, but definitely still fun. There's a What If. I guess they're doing Miles Morales. They're doing like 3 or 4 of them in a row. And this one is What If Miles Morales became the Hulk? managing school, dates, and a raging abomination.
Oh boy.
Nice.
So I don't know. I thought both those were the most promising to me of this week's poll.
Nice. They definitely look like fun reads. I saw those as well. I grabbed one from Marvel, one from DC. Obviously, I told you to DC. So Jurassic League #1 is written by Juan Gideon, Daniel Warren Johnson, and art by also Juan Gideon.
Okay.
And you know the story. An infant escapes the destruction of his home planet and is deposited on Earth to be raised by human parents. A goddess from the lost city defends truth, and a Tyrannosaurus Rex dons the visage of a bat. Maybe it's not the story you know of, but yeah, Superman is now a dinosaur, and it looks like a very fun read. He's like he was brought up by cavemen, Superman, and Batman's like all vicious and everything. Looks really kick-ass. Reminds me of like the Batman and like the Flintstones crossover. You know,
there was a Batman Flintstones crossover?
Yeah, I've never heard of that one.
Yeah.
No, Elmer Fudd, Batman Elmer Fudd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there was like a modern day Flintstones though.
Yeah, DC did a Flintstones, but I don't remember Batman ever. I know they crossed over.
Yeah, but they did a big Hanna-Barbera Marvel.
Yeah,
thing.
that was it.
Yeah. What you're thinking is DC did like a bunch of Hanna-Barbera properties. They did Scooby-Doo. It was like Scooby-Doo, but it was like with real monsters. They did.
That was kind of good. Scooby-Doo Apocalypse.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo Apocalypse. They did a Flintstones that was Jenny Palmiotti,
which was also good. It was very progressive, as some would say.
They did that that Hanna-Barbera show, the one Wacky Races.
Yeah.
You know, they did that.
I think I collected all of these.
Muttley.
Yeah.
Love it.
There was like some other ones,
I didn't really care for the Wacky Land races, so it wasn't done very well.
And then they did one. They had this crossover with all the heroes from Hanna-Barbera. I don't remember what it was, but it was like all the main heroes. You had the Herculoids.
Yeah,
Birdman,
Space Ghost was in there.
Space Ghost. Yeah,
that was pretty good too, but I don't remember how it concluded.
Yeah, it definitely did. I just, for the life of me, I can't remember.
It was like going through different universes, and they were gathering each other to like go and fight this monster that kept like devouring each of their universes. But I don't remember.
It was really good. I just, for the life of me, I can't remember the name. I know Jeff Parker was the writer for it, and then they had a bunch of one shots after that. Johnny Quest was also in there too. Yeah, but that was back in the day. Those were all pretty good. And then they had, Jeremy, what you're referencing, they had like DC one shots where they had like, here's like the Batman versus Elmer Fudd was the one I remember the best, because that was Tom King, who's wrote Mr. Miracle we're going to review tonight. It was him and Lee Weeks. That one's awesome. And they had all the other ones, which I honestly didn't really care for. Because,
I don't remember any of those very well.
No, the Batman Elmer Fudd one was the best and the most memorable, in my opinion. But I will say, I'm not reading as much as I used to. But speaking of Donny Cates, if I can recommend one thing from him that everybody should check out, he did a series. I forgot who was the artist for it, but it's called Crossover. I don't know if anyone's reading that. It's an image book.
I did see that on the pull list.
Yes. So Crossover is absolutely fantastic. I cannot recommend it enough. It's essentially imagining our world if there was indeed an event that brought comic book characters to our world. And it's an ongoing war between our world and their world. It's super trippy. And honestly, it's only, I think, 9 issues out so far. You see a plethora of classic characters, real characters. The whole thing is just beautiful. And if you're a Donny Cates fan, whether you loved Venom, Thor, or his stuff he's doing on Hulk right now, I thoroughly recommend it. So, boom.
Nice.
Yep.
The other pull I had was there's a new Moon Knight book this week. Black, White, and Blood #1. Looks like it's a compilation. The writers are Jonathan Hickman, Mark Guggenheim, and Maria Avadella.
Is it filled with like anthologies or something?
That's what it looks like. It's it's going to be a couple anthologies.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, what they're doing is those are like the Deadpool red, white, and black.
Yeah, Carnage did that one too. Also, I think.
Yeah, so I think it's a similar in that. It's an anthology series, but okay, cool. You know, everyone loves Moon Knight
Actually
now.
picking up the treasury size of the Carnage one.
Well,
Nice.
I hope that Hickman does an X-Men, the Moon Knight universe, because did not love that edition of the X-Men.
No.
I mean, I admire him for taking the X-Men in new directions, and he certainly did. And I just did not care to buy all the titles and everything. I was like, no, I'm good.
I liked him on his own title, East of West. Or hold
East
on,
of West
was
is
that
fantastic.
Hickman? Yeah, that is Hickman.
No,
yeah,
that was Hickman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful series. It's weird as fuck, but it's great.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, he did a lot of good stuff. His run on Avengers is pretty great. His Infinity storyline, which is dealt with Thanos coming back to Earth, was fantastic. I mean, like I said, he does good work. It's just I'm just not that big of an X-Men fan to invest in 4 different series and 17 billion crossovers. And
well, you think so? That brings up. I know we've had this discussion before about crossovers, but you know, it seems like every quarter there's a new crossover with 40 friggin' issues that you need to collect. You think people are going to get burnt out?
Yes, eventually.
They do.
Yeah.
I mean, look at us. Like Rich has been going to comics since his hair wasn't green. Okay, you know.
And honestly, I haven't collected in it's got to be 6 or 7 years like new comics. And for years I said I only want to touch paper comics, but now that I'm not buying them, I've gone to digital and I finally embraced it. It took quite a while. But,
dude, I was one of those guys too. So I was just like digital, but now 3 years in, I'm like, and now I'm like, I got a bunch in the basement.
I mean, Leo, I think the thing being is a lot of the time, as I think that, in my opinion, what DC and Marvel should really do is to give 2 years where you don't do crossovers. You just build up your respective characters, your universes and whatnot, you know, and then you can have your little crossovers. And crossover doesn't mean a galactic universal event that brings in everybody. Crossovers could be like mini storylines, kind of like for example, like what Maximum Carnage did. You know, that was great.
That was a great storyline.
Right, exactly.
And it just covered all of like Spider-Man titles. Like it went Amazing, Spectacular, Web of, and a few others. I forgot.
Exactly. So, you know, like if you look back on other storylines in other older series, they have storylines that tie in to events that are happening in the overall DC universe, but it's still contained within their story. So this is how what's going on affects them, you know. But it's still within the era of the characters. Like, for example, in one of my favorite series is Hitman. There's an issue that ties into, I believe it's called Silent Night. It was a DC storyline where the sun went out and the earth is freezing over, so everybody's freaking out, and the Justice League is like, what the fuck we're going to do? All the characters did in the book was they were at the bar drinking beer and swapping stories. And it's 100% character building, but it's still within the events of what's happening. And then the event ended and they just continued on. I'm like, that's how it should be, instead of 3 issues of, like Jeremy said, of just filler, of story that means nothing, that doesn't advance the character, doesn't move anything forward. It's just wasting a paper and ink. And that's, you know, no discredit to the artists and the writers who write them. They should get compensated for their work and whatnot. But it's just exhausting because it just gets lost in the shuffle.
Well, yeah, there's definitely a lot of filler episodes, but I think they should take a step back and, we already will go, like a couple months before they finish a storyline.
Mhm.
Something happens in the shuffle, like there was a Batman storyline. It was just 6 issues, and I remember waiting like 3 months for like the final 2 issues. They should just take a step back, do a full run of like 6 issue mini stories, and
Right.
just get them in the queue and just release them one after another, just
Yeah.
a bunch of mini stories.
And you guys remember we did Inferno. We had to do that, split it in 2
Oh my
episodes,
God, that was
and
so
we didn't even do the crossovers.
Yep.
Now they've been doing it since back then. They're never going to stop, Leo. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
don't want to burst your bubble, but as long as the money is green and people are going to buy it, they're going to keep doing it.
Well, and it's funny because like I saw some of the free comic book day things, and I'm going to be honest with you, I do not give a shit about this new Judgment Day thing where it's the Avengers fighting the Eternals who are trying to take out the X-Men / mutants. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm sorry. And it's the same way I feel about this new Dark Crisis that's coming up. Like, again, the people who've been working DC, from what I've seen, like Joshua Williamson, he's doing a great job. He's totally come a far length from just being a Flash writer. He's really doing some good work there. I'll give him credit. I'm just burned out on crises. Like, I was talking about this with Leo. Like, Leo himself, he's never read some of the crises. Sorry, Leo, to blow your spot, but you got.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
So Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was the blueprint of mega events. Thank you,
Yes.
Marv Wolfman and the late great George Perez, who we'll get to in a minute. That you had Infinite Crisis, you had Final Crisis, which, to be quite honest, was a little weird in my opinion with Grant Morrison, so no surprise there. And then now we have Dark Crisis, and you can even argue DC Dark Knight's Metal and
was definitely a crisis.
Yeah, and then the I think actually, Jeremy, the Crisis was really more the second one. I think that was the bigger crisis. I mean, I've never read it, so
I was wondering whatever happened to. They were supposed to be bringing the Watchmen into the universe, and it
Doomsday Clock.
Yeah, it totally like fizzled out, and like nothing went on with that.
It's because of Doomsday Clock, but we can get into that another day.
That was like a long.
So news. There's a few things I have to bring to the table. I don't know if anybody wants to go first.
I have a couple items, but you can definitely kick it off if you want to.
Okay. So on the Marvel side, everybody, all Spider-Man fans, I have sad news. It has been announced that there will be the end of the Spider-Verse. Marvel has recently announced that Dan Slott, who introduced the idea back in 2017, 2018, time passed, is coming back to Marvel to basically pen a limited series that will be, quote unquote, the end of the Spider-Verse. Which I think is absurd because it's such a great concept that why would you end it? It's only been a couple of years. Like, I think it's ridiculous. So that's happening. Should be coming up within the next couple of months. Written by Dan Slott.
What does that even mean, Drew?
Yeah, does that mean the end of the multiverse?
Again, they didn't really elaborate, but they did say that you're going to see a lot of the favorites. You're going to see Spider-Gwen. You're going to see Aranya. You'll probably see Miles, Julia Carpenter, a lot of people that we've seen, but they didn't really, for once, Marvel didn't elaborate too much into it. But the title is
Spider-Ham. Don't kill Spider-Ham.
So it looks like we're having bacon. I mean, I'm sorry, Rich. I understand you're kosher, so we will have a bacon.
I'm not kosher, not at all.
Okay, no. Okay, good to know. But point being,
in space.
But so that's going to be happening in Marvel. I was like, okay, cool. I was like, I'll peek through, but anytime something is an end, I'm like, sure. Like Rich said, if it makes you money, there is no end.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Especially this thing, which has been one of their biggest sellers. Like, there's going to be a Spider-Verse 2 coming out. Like, come on. The end, please.
Well, and also you have all the Funkos. I mean, the money they make off of that alone,
Yeah, and then on top of it, how many? Like, there's always been as long as they keep pumping what ifs, there will be other Spider-Men. So the multiverse is not going anywhere. Like, no. So there's that. And I forgot everything else there was. So Leo, go. Shut up.
I believe James Gunn has hinted that Guardians 3 is going to be his last Guardians film, that he's closing the loop on them. Loki season 2 starts filming June 6th.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Good, good.
And Leo, and for you, I believe they said they started production on Ashoka. With Rosario
yeah,
Dawson.
I saw that shot.
Yeah,
today.
I saw the chair. Yeah.
Have you seen the pictures of her on set with Mark Hamill?
No.
Oh my God, she is fangirling out big time. It is hilarious.
Mark Hamill.
I would fangirl out.
Oh, it is so adorable just to see. Like, there's a video of her just like turning around, like all giddy and everything.
Okay.
It's just
Leo.
awesome. I love it.
Leo, let's be real here. Everybody in this chat, if they got to meet him, would lose their motherfucking minds on two levels. Luke, Joker. Okay. Thank you.
Dude, and now he's done Skeletor, although it was the Joker, but like he did Skeletor.
Yeah, and there's like the man has crossed so many genres. He was the Joker. He was Luke.
Trickster.
He was the trickster on two different Flashes.
Yeah.
You know? And then on so many other things.
He was three characters in one of the Batman animated series. He was himself. Like,
so
Trickster and Joker.
So speaking
didn't
of,
he play a professor on Gotham as well?
Yes, he did.
Oh yeah.
I'm embarrassed. I know that.
I loved that show. I'm sorry.
That's great.
It was a weird.
It was a weird ending. It was a weird ending, but it was a good show.
I agree. A weird ending.
You two can keep it.
You're forgetting
it was a weird Elseworld for me. I liked.
Yeah, I like
that's how I
stories.
looked at it. I was kind of like, all right.
I did too.
I got to hang out with the lead there, so like he was kind of cool. So I had to like.
Yeah, and the cat put me on Twitter, so I can't bitch at her for that.
Right, Leo, you were saying.
I was going to say you forgot Cockknocker.
Right.
Oh, wow.
From Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, the evil Cockknocker.
Oh, but the guy that played Zaz in that was also amazing, Jeremy, and he's now in Barry.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's a great show.
Yes, he is awesome in Barry.
Yeah, he's the bald guy in Barry. He's great.
He's hilarious. But
that was a good interpretation of Zaz, I have to say.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I liked the actor. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, well,
I would have preferred more of the knife work, but
I'm sorry. I'm going to stop you right there. Whatever Gotham did, their version of Bane was horrible. So just moving on. So that I'm trying to think if there was there. Oh, I just remembered something else. Shit, and it's gone again. God damn it!
Shit,
brain. When you guys start,
and he was also he didn't Mark Hamill do the Trickster on
the
Supernatural?
Flash.
No, Supernatural. He played a trickster character. Or no, hold on. I'm pretty sure he was on there. I might be wrong. I gotta have to
come back.
I remember there was an animated clip where he played himself as Mark Hamill. He played the Joker.
Yeah,
I remember.
And he played, I think, Trickster.
Mm-hmm. And then, now I remember. I remember now the other thing. So I was watching. I don't know if you guys know this, but Will Friedle and Christy Romano, who were Kim and Ron on Kim Possible, they have a podcast, and when they were, they do interviews with voice actors and people, and they had Kevin Conroy on, and they were talking about Batman and all this stuff, and what it was like working on, because they both ended up working together for Batman Beyond, because he was Terry McGinnis and Kevin was of course Bruce Wayne, and they were talking about how great it was, to work with Mark in Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker, and they like Will was saying how it would be great one day if they had a role reversal where you had Mark as someone heroic and like he was Batman and Kevin was the Joker, and I was like, wow, that actually would be really trippy, but kind of like I was like, why hasn't anybody done that? Like, yeah, that would be awesome to see like a sinister Kevin Conroy and a heroic heroic Mark Hamill. I was like, yeah, that would be really cool one day, and I
Although
hope we get to see it.
Although for an episode or two on the animated Hulk, where he did the voice of the Gargoyle, he turned good for an episode or two. He had a thing for the She-Hulk.
That's fair. But I was like, oh man, we should talk about that on the show. That would be really cool. But yeah, Leo, everybody fan. It's Mark Hamill.
Well, so fangirl for two things. One, that she met him, but she was also acting with him because he did act in Book of Boba Fett. That was him, and then they just CGI'd over him.
Oh wow. Yeah, because they had to do the de-aging. And it's so funny because I finally sat down and started watching some of The Irishman on Netflix. And I'm like, oh, God, it's going to take forever. 3 hours. But then I was like, I did the Batman, so this is easy. And I was watching a scene where it's De Niro. And somebody made the comment, and I can't unsee it now. I'm like, man, you can de-age De Niro as much as you want, but he does not move like a young man anymore. And I'm like, oh, it's sad, but it's true. I'm watching him move and beat up this guy who pushed his daughter. And I'm like, yeah, he really is moving like an older man. Like, it's not the same. And I was just like, yeah, you just can de-age people, but you can't. I was like, damn, that's still great. Don't get me wrong. But I was like, yeah. It's one of those, like, when you see it, you can't unsee it. You're like, shattered window. So I don't know if that ever happened to you guys, but I was like, oh, damn. The de-aging. Sometimes it's good, and then sometimes it's like it's a little too clean. Like
now, Drew, since you mentioned the Batman, we can't discount the fact that Doctor Strange overshadowed his first weekend numbers. It doesn't matter to me either way, but just for the sake of nerddom, it's out there.
So I'm just going to put this out here. I really enjoyed Doctor Strange 2, but
same.
I enjoyed the Batman better.
Okay.
More.
Which one?
The new one.
I think I would. No, I'm trying to in my head which one I liked better. Because I liked Strange, but I wanted so much more.
Yeah.
And I liked the Batman. I'd probably say I did like the Batman better.
Okay, I will say this,
but I didn't go in with high expectations with the Batman.
Right. So I will say this:
crazy expectations.
I was pleasantly surprised with Doctor Strange because, to me, No Way Home really set the Marvel bar high now.
That thing, like, whew.
You know.
But I went in that with like really low, and my mind was blown.
And I will say that if I had to give a small review without giving spoilers, because it's way too early, and we all agreed no spoilers, lest we be cast into the pit of despair, or which is thanks to our buddy Leo is full of snakes, so don't fuck with that. If you are a horror fan, you will thoroughly enjoy this movie. Sam Raimi comes back to Marvel, but cannot deny that his roots are always in horror. So if you enjoyed Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, Drag Me to Hell, you're going to see tropes of that. And I will also say that this movie, in my mind, really pushes the limits of PG-13. There is some gruesomeness.
That was only PG-13. That's right.
PG-13, everybody.
Yeah, I have to say that did push the limits. The thing I can say that really reaffirmed my appreciation for how awesome Wanda is. Like, Civil War first made me be like, wow, Wanda is really dope. And WandaVision was really good. I liked it a lot. And then this, I was like, holy crap, Wanda is really impressive.
Well,
really impressive.
I will say this, everybody. If you are watching, you haven't seen it, please make sure you try to at least watch some of WandaVision before you see this movie.
Oh, yeah,
as the events
we're watching it right now. Yeah.
Good.
So let me know if you agree with this. I would say definitely watch Loki, WandaVision, and What If.
Okay, I would, but I've definitely, like, in my opinion, I don't think
you need the What If, but it's good to watch anyways.
Yeah, I feel
a couple episodes of the What If, because there are certain things that are like pulled out of it. And there's actually a major reference in the movie.
Yes, but I will say this though: WandaVision is a must because
Yeah.
you have to.
Yeah,
You'll
yeah,
have no
definitely,
idea
definitely
why.
not.
What's
And everybody, because so you don't have to look on the internet like I do. There are two after credit scenes. Dose. The first one is essential for comics, and the second one is essential if you're a Sam Raimi fan. I will say that. If you are not, you will not appreciate it as much as people like me who love Evil Dead will enjoy it.
most people who have never seen Evil Dead will be like, "What? Okay."
Yeah. So that is the only thing I will say, because again, I can't be a hypocrite about spoiler culture if I spoil it for Joker, because he also knows where my Facebook and Instagram are, and I'm sure he has passwords too. But thoroughly enjoyed it. It's definitely worth the watch. But if you like it, great. If you don't, okay. It's not
I
like
couldn't see not liking it. Like,
listen, there's always somebody.
Is it getting good reviews across the board, or is it mixed reviews?
It's getting good reviews. But of course, if it's not stellar A+, you get those. They're like, oh well, it's a kind of a disappointment, and Marvel expected better. I'm like, okay, calm down. It's been out a week,
yeah,
Again,
and this isn't even.
bar.
We're like starting the build up. This is the new phase. They're not blowing their load yet.
No,
Like,
they're edging themselves nice and easy.
yeah. This is going to be like another 10 years of.
I like how Leo caught what I was saying, and he was like, "This subtly dirty reference." I was like, but yeah. So going on that, I'm trying to think if I have any other news. No, I don't really think. Oh, there is a rumor going around, and Leo being a Star Wars fan, you might appreciate it. There is a rumor going around that since John Watts, who was the director originally for Fantastic Four, has stepped away, that they may have found a new director to direct the film, but it's only a rumor, so we can't confirm this. But they might be talking to Bryce Dallas Howard, who, as we know, directed some really well-received episodes of one of Leo's favorite shows, The Mandalorian. Season 2. So that rumor did include the possibility that she would end up playing Susan Storm in the film. But, of course, it is still a rumor, sketchy best, so we can't really say for certain. But, being that this is the first time we've seen Marvel's first family since the disastrous Fantastic Four film of what year I don't remember, because I never saw the movie because I don't care.
Yeah, I didn't either.
We won't know, but it's definitely gonna be better than the barbershop Fantastic Four. So
yeah, the thing had no nards.
No nards.
Yeah, no nards.
I still like the Chris Evans Fantastic Four.
It was good, but
until Galactus showed up. That's where I ended my like for.
Michael Chiklis is awesome.
He's great. Yeah. Michael Chiklis needs to be in superhero shows. Like he was great
on
in
one
that ABC Family show.
Ordinary Family.
Yeah, that was so good.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, he's a little old, but he could have made a decent Wolverine. Could have totally seen him as Wolverine.
That'd be
or Puck.
Oh, that would be cool.
I could see
Puck from Alpha Flight.
I could see that.
Who the fuck drew Wolverine all chunky in the 90s? It was like it was one big ball.
Leo, you got to be more specific, man. That could be anybody in the 90s. If the 90s,
yeah, the 90s.
Yeah, he was very squat.
Yeah, he was like.
Yeah. Oh, listen, we're talking about that.
Was here. He's like.
Yeah, that was around the era where people were trying to draw Nightwing like Wolverine, like hairy and buff, and I was just like, no, stop. They've already given him the Sean Ryder haircut going right now. The bangs. It's like, no, thank you. Please don't. But yeah, and I also want to say this. Just transitioning to something else we definitely need to discuss. It is a sad week for comics. Last week we lost two of our greats, and we got to give them credit. We already know. I believe we talked about losing Neil Adams, which was sad. But most recently, and this one, no offense to Neil Adams, all due respect, one of the greats. George Perez is passing. Really, I mean that made me sad that day. I was glad I had Doctor Strange to magic away my sadness for a bit. 67, and we knew it was coming, but
Yeah.
nobody.
It's like that. It happened on Free Comic Book Day. It was
67,
like
everybody.
poetic, but also kind of like oof.
Did you guys get the news when you were at Free Comic Book Day?
Yeah.
I felt so bad because I messaged Chris about it, and he had no idea, and I felt so bad. I was like, "Hey, so George Perez." He's like, "Damn it!" I'm like, "I know." Just, us nerds were just like, and I messaged all my friends who I had done the Titans group that I showed you guys about ages ago, and we were all like, to Uncle George. It was a sad day.
Did you ever get that sent off, Drew?
No, I did not, and I'm kicking myself forever for it.
Okay.
Again, it's just a lesson, everybody. Do not procrastinate.
Yeah.
Because you do not know the time. So if you get a chance to meet your heroes, do it. You get a chance to tell them how great they are, do it. I'm, like I said, I have my photo with George the second time I met him. I'm very grateful for that because no one will believe his shirts were that Hawaiian. I'm like, nope, they were.
And I regret when he was at Bridgeport that I never got art done. I was cheap that day.
Me too.
He waved at me twice as the Joker, and which excited me. And but his line was humongous, and I know he stayed late. I know that story is legendary that he stayed after the con was over to keep signing people's stuff until there was nobody left in the line. So I super regret that.
Me too.
But it was still awesome just to be in his presence and feel the aura of his power.
He was honestly, I know the title of my autobiography would be "He was the nicest guy." Angie tells me that all the time. But George Perez was one of the most pleasant, energetic people you'd ever meet. I mean, you couldn't be around him and not be elevated to smile. He was just, it was one of those where he was just as happy to meet you as you were to meet him.
He lied to me. He lied to me, Drew.
How did he lie to you?
Drew, that con, Bridgeport, I was on my way to Dunkin' Donuts with an ex-co-host's friend, Ali, and we're walking down the street, and a gentleman who was bald and wearing a Hawaiian shirt and had this rather grayish goatee came walking by, and he's like in this strange Latin kind of accent and asked us where the Civic Center was or whatever have you. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my God, I know this guy. I really that's, and I'm just like, it's right down the street around the corner. He walks across the street and I'm like, I'm sorry, I gotta ask, but aren't you George Perez? He smiled and shook his head no and walked on back to the Civic Center. I got back and I was just like, there he was sitting at his table. We had a look at each other and I was like,
That is probably
the legend.
Yeah. Well, listen,
but it was great.
You got trolled by a legend. That's
no. I love to have that story. Like, I never got to actually have anything signed by him. I regret it myself. The few times that I was at a con where he was at, that one I didn't have anything for him to sign. The next one I was at NYC, and I didn't get into the line for the ticket beforehand, and I got. Yeah, I was there at the very end, and I believe it was his wife or somebody, whoever was his manager.
Constance.
I got up, and she's like, "Where's your ticket?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know there was tickets." And she's like, "I'm sorry." And I just, I wasn't gonna bother him and be like, "Come on." So I just walked away. I was like, "Oh." I got that one story, so like that made me feel good.
I'm on Rich's level of kicking myself. It was $40 Could have got a George Perez sketch of anything
for $40.
$40. You could have had a George Perez original. $40, and that was back when he was doing the marathon drawing session. So I could have got anything. Hell, if I was
It's amazing
obsessed,
how quickly he went downhill because Bridgeport wasn't that long ago.
it was
What was that?
2014.
2014, 2015.
It was 2014.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I know that was the back in the day when people wouldn't really charge you too much for an autograph.
Yeah.
No, God no.
oh man, Neil Adams was only charging $5 a signature then.
Yep.
Really? Wow.
Sweat.
Just a reminder, we do have the
Such a beautiful picture.
Oh, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm going to talk to my comic book store about pre-ordering that. It is so beautiful. Look.
So now is that a poster and it's going to be a front and back cover of something, of a reprint?
Oh, is that a wrapper?
so this is going to be, I think, Dark Crisis #6.
Yeah, it's a variant cover.
Variant cover.
Oh my God! If that was a poster,
that was the shirt he wore. He wore the blue fucking Hawaiian shirt that day.
He did.
Yep.
I gotta be honest with you. If that was a poster, I would so buy and I would show that off. That is.
Well,
that is gorgeous.
They'll probably make it as a poster as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's frameable for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's a you buy as many copies and give that to friends. Like you just comic book Oprah that you get a poster and you get a poster and you get a poster, you get a poster. Everybody gets one. How much does that cost you? We're not going to talk about it.
Actually, they'll probably do the X-Men thing where you got to buy like 5 different copies to fit them together.
It's sad because I've done that.
I actually like those covers, but yeah.
It's sad, Leo, that I know exactly what you're talking about because I have all of them. And I just think.
Can you believe that book's going up in value?
Really?
Really?
Yeah. You're talking about X-Men 1, right?
So
Jim Lee's run.
Who was I talking about? I have 44 copies of that.
Oh, dude, if you especially
how
the full wraparound, the full 5 fold-out page one. I forget whatever that one is like up to like $40 right now.
Really?
And the other ones are like hitting 20. Like
sell, Leo, sell.
Yeah,
sell.
there we go.
I would you'll never see those prices on
what
that book
garage
again.
sale did you pillage?
No, dude, I bought them from my local comic shop off the shelf, including Spider-Man 365, which I have like 12 copies of.
Why
Who are you?
What were you speculating?
I just thought it was a kick-ass cover and just like
Look at you.
Yeah.
Leo, this is not My Blue
Some
Heaven.
people buy two, one to read and one to never touch.
Leo,
I'm going to buy 12. Fuck it.
Yeah, Leo, this is not My Blue Heaven where it's why do you have 25 copies in case I want to read it more than once? What?
Yeah, there's a few comics. I think. What the
guys, I guess we now know what our Splash Pages bonus is going to be.
We're each going to get a percentage of how many of those that he sells.
And we're just going to get a copy and a bow, like thinking of you, like return to sender. It's not graded. Merry freaking Christmas to you, Mr. Pond.
There you go.
But no, the George is passing. I'm sorry, like that hit me hard, and I'm glad he's not in pain anymore, and I'm glad he's at peace. But I mean, when you think about what his career, what he did, not just Teen Titans, Wonder Woman, all of his career in general, just my God, man, just it's. He was a pivotal character person in comics. Absolutely. That's just the best way to put it, and he's always going to be remembered. He was one of the greats, and emotional.
Hey Jeff,
over the JLA Avengers.
Jeff, what am I keeping up with?
Yeah, what's Jeff talking about down there?
Yeah, what's going on there?
The toking dead Jeff.
Still toking. Are we allowed to say toking dead, or is it still toking? What's the actual verdict on that?
So it's Still Toking With is a show.
Yes.
And I believe it's Toking With the Dead.
Toking with the dead is what they're allowed to use.
I believe so.
Those poor guys.
Hold on, let me go to our Facebook. Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong. That's Facebook.
Got it right.
While I wait for Facebook to slowly load, I didn't realize Firestarter got a reboot. What the heck's up with that?
Yes, it did. Did anybody watch it?
Out soon, isn't it?
No, I didn't know that.
No, I thought it came out already. Yeah, Peacock.
I thought it came out this week.
Is it Peacock? I don't know.
Oh, I'm right. Toking with the Dead. Yeah, Peacock and in the theater.
Oh man, I would totally see that. I have been saying for ever since I read it, I've been saying this book needs to get remade because as cute as Drew Barrymore is in the original, God, it was garbage. Because it was made of that time. Well, no, I'm just saying, I'm not saying it was a bad movie. It's just Leo, it was limited because of the special effects. I mean, I remember one scene where she shoots her fireball. It was literally a tennis ball on fire being shot. I'm like, I can literally see the archer in the background there. Like now it's a little bit, our special effects are better, you know? But I mean, it's funny because
it was a great Stephen King book for sure.
It was. That was around the era where I feel Stephen King was just like that one. I was like, hey, what if Stephen King created the X-Men? You know?
Jeff says, but we're known as the Token Dead Dudes.
The TDDs.
Yeah. Something else
Sounds like
that
a venereal disease, but we still love you, Jeff.
The other last item I have for news, and I don't even know if I want to bring it up.
What's that?
You got to bring it up
Avatar 2. What the fuck?
Oh, the blue people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the news?
How many years now?
I thought it was a go.
No,
it is a go.
It was the go. The trailer dropped, and God.
It did.
Oh, I didn't see.
It's
I didn't. Do we have it?
It's Waterworld.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's a
whole. Waterworld.
I loved Waterworld,
but it's
but there's no Kevin Costner.
Do we have Blue Gamora back?
Yes.
I liked Waterworld. No, nobody.
Okay, I need to say this for, and I do not care if I get canceled right now. Avatar, stop. Okay, I could not. I'm of that minority. I do not care. I didn't watch the first one. I don't care for this sequel. I was bored the entire 2 minutes of my life that I was watching this trailer.
It looks like a friggin' video game. It's all CGI. It looks abysmal.
Yeah, honestly, it's just disappointing because it's just like they make a big deal like, oh, it's a sequel. All I saw was water. They're just swimming. Like, you just like things wet. Oh, damn. Does he know your girlfriend?
It
does get freaky. But my point being, yes, Leo has the sound effects. He just doesn't like using them often. It's when we least expected, he strikes like a viper. Back with snakes.
It really is all CGI, huh?
It really is. And then they're just, the only question I have is, you have that, and then you have the one random human, and I'm just like, the fuck is this?
You know, I really enjoyed that movie when it came out 15 years ago. And I remember my son being super excited and like jumping around the house, and he wanted a blue tail. But if you gave me a movie 3, even 5 years later, sure, absolutely. But I don't care. I don't care anymore. Many years later. My son was a little kid. He's now a 19-year-old man. Give me a break.
Yeah, now he doesn't want a tail. He wants a car. It's a difference. Yes. You know?
I thought the tails were their dongs.
We're not Leo. We don't. Leo.
What
no, I think they had
watching?
dongs still. I think he still had a dong. Did they actually?
Wow, Leo was watching the porn, the Avatar.
Yeah,
porn.
Leo was clearly watching. You know,
that was a different movie, Leo.
Yeah, Leo. What? Is there a subshoot of you know?
Wait a minute. Did you eat any bakery items before the show today?
Yeah,
Leo?
No, not yet.
Jeremy,
Not
what did you
yet.
give him for
Are you
comic book day?
sure?
I'm sure.
Yeah, because you're a
Because
little
we
extra
heard
loopy.
something about a delivery of a package.
Package.
Yes.
Well, Jeremy dropped off. Yeah. He
What
gave
did
me
he
a
drop
present.
off, Leo? Say it.
Gave me a present on Free Comic Book
It
Day.
was Mother's
Oh,
Day present. I wanted
gave
to
him
make
a-
sure,
All right.
you know.
You know, Connecticut, both these states are both legal for this kind of present, you know, right?
It is, yeah.
I'm suspicious now.
And Jar Jar Jeremy is actually a legal. Aren't you like a legal farmer?
Not a legal farmer. I keep into the legal limits, but I am a legal caretaker.
There you go.
Right.
Oh, Grandpa Drew just came to the scene.
Hello, Drew.
You under
you.
Okay, Mr. Miracle. Mr. Miracle.
Okay,
Didn't know that was coming.
I just want to
That's
say,
not
just
Mr.
for the again, before we get to Mr. Miracle, which I can't wait, I need to say this: James Cameron, you have peaked.
Wasn't he all angry about the superhero movies and stuff?
Yes, and on top of it, I find that funny because at one point he was supposed to direct a Spider-Man. So shut the fuck up, James. You were going to direct a Spider-Man, and you were like, "No, I can't. I got to make another shitty Terminator." You. Sorry, I
Sounds like sour grapes.
You know, I've watched all those Terminators and wanted them to be good since the second one, and they always let me down. And I keep thinking that they're going to be good the next time.
Did you even watch the show?
Oh, I did. I watched the show. The show was decent. Like, I like that.
It was good.
The chick they had as the Terminator. I'm sorry for degrading her to the chick, but yeah, it was a great show. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. But listen, so now, Mr. Miracle.
Wait, one last news bit real quick. I'm sorry, before we do Mr. Miracle. They announced a new Doctor Who.
Yeah, Black Man.
They did, right.
Yeah, Nakudi. I think that's how you say it.
I have no idea.
Anyway, there you go. Okay, Mr. Miracle.
Hold on. No. We should get his name right.
Oh, we're not going to get his name right. That's unless you can have Google say it for you.
Yeah, Nakudi Gatwa.
Oh yeah, that's probably exactly how it's said.
Well, listen, I
looked him up. I haven't seen anything that he's been in, but there are some things that he's been in that are popular.
Listen, I hope the best for him because I did feel bad for Jodie Whittaker because, you know, she's a decent actress. And I just think, unfortunately, her doctor just got played with poor writing and whatnot. Who did the people who just didn't know what to do with a female doctor. And I think it's really sad because you watch the show and you kind of see flashes of the doctor that could have been, but it's just mild under just underwhelming storylines. And it's disappointing because, again, you know, every doctor should be given their chance to shine. And she did have her moments, but it wasn't, I think, to the caliber that other doctors, the more popular ones, got. So, you know.
Yeah, I really enjoyed her first season, Drew. There were a couple of episodes that weren't great, but that second season was really hard to take for me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So she started strong and then just petered out. You know, but hopefully he does a good job, you know, and I wish him, honestly, as a so fan of Doctor Who, I wish him the best. So good luck.
Absolutely. Good luck, Nakudi.
Now, Mr. Miracle.
I have so many questions.
Yes. Well, we do have
answers.
We do have a Kirby file down underneath, so he will answer so many of them for you, Leo. But I need to say this. Rich, was this you? Did you recommend this one?
Well, we kind of I picked the character, but you actually picked the storyline in this one.
Oh, I did. Okay, cool. Good job, Rich.
Good job, us. It's collaborative effort.
Collaborative effort. High five. But we can't do that because we're in a box. But I honestly, I need to say this. This is a great read. The 12 issues really just flew by. I also have to say this, and I apologize. I really prefer Tom King when he has condensed storylines of limited series versus ongoing stories. I think he functions better that way. And I say that as a Batman fan. I did enjoy a nice chunk of his run that I've read. His Super Friends arc is still my favorite of his run. And then we're not going to talk about what happened with Bane, because it always ends up with Bane. But this, I think his Batman Elmer Fudd is still my favorite thing of his I've ever read that I've owned. This is now a close second. This was just awesome. So that's me. But I didn't realize we had a Kirby file, so maybe we should let him explain who the character is.
Before we do, this was Mr. Miracle, written in 2018 by Tom King, and art is by Mitch Gerads.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Jeremy, take it away.
Oh, I'm not a Kirby file, but I love Kirby, and Mr. Miracle has been like is what started me on my Kirby filing, I guess. But it's Scott Free. He's born of High Father, and he's just the character is.
He's born of High Father, but raised by Darkseid.
Yeah, raised by Darkseid. They have to switch their children. Like it's a great story. This story is great. I love it mainly because it deals a lot with like PTSD, like abuse, and how people of those things are like react to different situations. I think this time actually in DC was really, I liked it a lot. I know a lot of people didn't like Tom King's other miniseries in DC very much because it took which Flash was it?
You're talking about Flash Forward, the one where Wally West. No, not Flash Forward. I know what you're talking about.
But where Wally West
ended up being the killer. Yeah.
But I love the story, the way he writes and the build up, and the DC at the time was dealing with a lot of like real issues that are going on in our world, and I love that about these.
But by the way, Jeremy, was it In Crisis? Something like In Crisis?
I want to say it was like.
No, but I know what you're thinking of. It was a limited series.
Yeah,
he did like Clayman. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now you couldn't have started this story more seriously because he slits his wrists.
Yeah.
In an effort which is later described as he had been able to get out of everything so easily, he wanted to see if he could get out of death.
And I will also say that I did, after finishing the story, I did do a little research on it. And it's funny because according to an interview that Tom King did, this collaboration between him and Mitch Gerads was never supposed to happen. Because originally they were supposed to collaborate on the Jokes and Riddles arc in his Batman run. But as we know, that went to Mikkel Janin, who did the whole thing. And then he was having dinner with Dan DiDio, and Dan was like, write whatever you want. And Tom King apparently got inspired by the series because he had some sort of panic attack on his wife's birthday that year, which was brought on by the current state of the world. Because around that time, I believe Trump was still in the office. There's a lot of political unrest. There was just a lot going on in the world and media. And he was just feeling all this anxiety, all this stress, all this fear and everything. And he kind of took it and channeled that through Scott. And with that, I thought he did a great job because, he basically summarized it that you had Scott here trying to escape this paradise. He was raised in Apocalypse. He was tortured from birth. His name is a cruel joke from Granny Goodness because of how him escaping so often. His partner was the leader of the Furies, who were sent to kill him. His adopted father is Darkseid, who, let's be real here, is never going to give you a hug. He's on this world. He's a traitor to his people. He's a fugitive. He's a new god. And then as we see later on, he becomes a dad. Like, he's building a paradise that he's like, I can't handle this. So he tries to escape from it by dying, but even that he can't do.
And they get into that later on in the series where they're fighting off. I think they're going to take on Granny Goodness, and they're just going back and forth. And he's like, I have all this stuff actually Barda at the time was like, I have all this stuff because before I couldn't have stuff, and that's why I have so much stuff. But I don't really want the stuff. I need to get rid of this stuff. And then Scott's in there like, I don't want to do this because there's bills on the table. But if that table wasn't there, would their bills and magazines be there? And he's like, yeah, but the bills and magazines have always been there. I need them to be there. And
it's also funny because I never realized it, but that this character he talks to, Oberon is essentially Kirby. He's just a walking, talking Kirby pastiche. I mean, the second I saw him smoking, I was like, okay, this is clearly a Kirby reference.
Well, and we also had a Stan Lee.
The Excelsior.
Funky Flashman. Come on.
Yep.
Yeah. That was all Kirby making fun of his at that time former writing partner, because he couldn't help himself. I mean, come on. I have been aware of Scott and Big Barda for years. I think this series really made me a fan, and it was just interesting seeing them not at war. It was interesting seeing them like at the beach or watching television, being together, talking. You're so used to DC heroes constantly in crisis and conflict. To see them as people was just really interesting.
Yeah, this was a super multifaceted, and that was a great family element for sure, Drew. I totally concur with you on this.
I will also say this, gentlemen. I myself will never look at a veggie platter the same.
When they're doing the trial in the living room, that was it's just.
I don't know what I enjoyed more. Was it? I'm on a tie between Orion eating a carrot stick, Scott eating a carrot stick, and then Darkseid.
No, Darkseid eating a carrot stick.
Yeah,
all day.
Oh, and then the call at the supermarket where he goes in for something random, and they're like, "Oh, no veggie platter this time."
Oh yeah, but and then confronting Granny Goodness. That
was some twisted stuff right there. Like he's arguing about wanting to kill her with Barda because the moment he's being, I forget, it's in the pit, he's being hung, and she comes and she took him down early, and he felt like because the way she was taking him down that her picking up his almost lifeless body, that she's kind of like hugging him, and really he loves her for this. It's a really crazy relationship.
It's almost like bridging on Stockholm syndrome. I also want to give credit. The style, the style of how they did it and everything. That is the most interesting sex scene I've ever seen. I'm gonna say that right now. I was like Scott, you can't escape, but do you want to? And then, I mean, you never thought this, but being a parent, like they had a kid, you're like, oh my God, like good for them. And they're like, God, this kid is doomed. And then of course, Rich's favorite line, Batman kills babies.
Batman kills babies. Yeah, there were a lot of great little jokes in this. As serious as it was, there were some great little jokes with like Batman kills babies. We already talked about the veggie platter. Scott wearing all the different heroes t-shirts.
Oh yeah,
Yes, I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah, that was some nice.
Yeah.
And they snuck in like Booster Gold, right?
Yes, they did. Booster and Beetle drinking at a bar.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So Drew, you mentioned one thing about their normal life, but definitely how they go back and forth, and how it's just everything's normal to them. Like they're talking about a war raging on, but we need to be back Tuesday to pick up the laundry or something like that. It was just definitely
Well, you even had the guards like sitting there, like having casual conversation, like right before these two show up, and they're like, "Hey, I'm a god," blah blah blah. Like that's theology, and then all of a sudden, Barda and Scott show up, and like they're getting killed, and Barda and Scott are sitting there having conversation about building or her actually being pregnant.
Yeah, that was a great storyline that they built over multiple pages, where she's talking about changing their condo and making everything smaller. And I'm like, she's about to tell you she's pregnant, bro, and he's not getting it. And another page goes by, and he's still not getting it. And another page by, she's like, I'm pregnant, stupid.
And then, like I said, you just get this idea of like this overlapping narrative that it's all a show. You know what I mean? That no matter what, Scott is a performer. So, it's always about escaping death and the various things. And I also thoroughly enjoyed, I think near the end, that Mitch Gerads essentially drew in the audience, not only, I believe, him and Tom, but also I think I saw Dan DiDio, Jim Lee was there. I'm pretty sure more people who worked on the book. And personally, I love when you see that. I mean, I remember when we did Superman versus Muhammad Ali, and you had all the people in the cover. Oh, here we go. See, I was like, God damn, this is something here.
Well, when he's first spread out there, Leo, if you go one back before that, when they're first starting, he's kind of laid out like Jesus. If you bring it down, but he's got his mask on his crotch.
And they did, and Tom King did kind of say that he felt that Scott was kind of in that kind of role, that he was the son to made suffer for the sins of the apocalypse and New Genesis. I also loved when, I don't know if it was an image or not, I loved when he slugged his technical real father, High Father. That was just so, like, God, so lethargic.
So I have a question.
Go for it.
You see with this picture where he's in bed, but he still has his wrist bandages on. I got the feeling that, and they touch a little bit of this towards the end. Was the whole thing just a dream?
I don't know. That I did not think about that, Leo. That's interesting.
I mean, you have
that's the notion that I came with, that all of this is like him going through this. He's like in a coma or something.
Yeah, or reliving his life,
Well, I thought they were definitely playing with it back and forth, but I felt that was the reality that he lived through. I felt like the story was not a dream. I felt like it was an actual story and it happened, but this is his life, and he, still, was it an escape? Is he able to escape? Is this his escape? Is this heaven? There was a lot of correlation. So I think it's kind of up to you.
Yeah.
Well,
but the most shocking part to me is, listen, I'm not going to ruin the story, but at one point in the story, Scott-free, Mr. Miracle, becomes the High Father. And so he's the highest on New Genesis that you can get. He's the king. He is the king of the gods of New Genesis.
Right.
And he is at the same time a family man, a father. And he has an amazing relationship with his baby. And this is like his heaven on earth. And Darkseid turns to him and says, listen, we've been at this war now, because through the story they're at war. And it's High Father versus Darkseid, and millions of people of New Genesis are dead and are dying, and Apocalypse is winning the war. So Darkseid just turns to Scott and he's like, all you got to do to end the war, I'll give up the anti-life equation. I'll pull all my forces back. I'll give you all the prisoners back that aren't dead. All you got to do is give me your child. What?
That's a big moment.
And he has, and as the head ruler, he has to consider it because he has not just this one life to consider. He has millions of lives under his rule now. And Barda tells him to go fuck himself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which was beautiful.
And can we also just acknowledge how gorgeous yet simplistically beautiful these covers by Nick Darrington is?
Oh my god!
Oh yeah, awesome.
Beautiful.
When the Furies came in, this was a very interesting issue. Like,
oh, because Barda's pregnant and
and they're like,
she's the head of the
they're
Furies.
friends. Yeah, they're like, these are her only friends, and she's like, yeah, of course I invited them to my birth. Like, of course she would have. Like,
and they all like, oh, okay. So we're still gonna kill you, Scott. But okay, we're here for Barda,
but for today.
Right, and they contribute that knife,
Yeah,
which becomes very integral in the end, and at the same time saves their child's life.
It's not the same knife.
Also, I want to point out.
You're right, Leo. You're right.
I also want to point out this has one of my favorite Darkseid moments because I believe at one point, I don't know if it's Barda or Scott, calls him essentially a son of a bitch, and all Darkseid is just punch. I am, and I'm like, yeah, he owns it. He's just like, yep. There's no contest. I am a son of a bitch. And it's just, again, Darkseid is in this at least, is a man of few words, but this one, goddamn, he is just a funny motherfucker.
The lump.
I also enjoy that that the book is very open. And I do think that they do want to continue it. I believe there was talk of a sequel. Nothing has been published yet, but I definitely that ending I'm sure there was supposed to be a sequel, right, Leo?
So I thought I read that it continues in death metal.
Oh, does it?
Could have sworn in my research I was reading that.
All right. I definitely know that there was talk of a sequel, but I mean, again, as for a storyline, I was kind of glad to leave it as it is. Because sometimes you don't need a concrete ending. I feel like a soft ending is kind of good because it's just, that's the end now versus that's the end. That's it.
You know what, Drew? There was a part of the book that confused me about our buddy here, Funky, at one point. It seemed like he was trying to get Mr. Miracle to kill himself again.
Oh, yeah.
And that was kind of confusing to me. So I was like a little worried. Do you have a little more clarification on that?
I don't really. I mean, at some point I did kind of wonder if Funky was all in his head because the way that he would just kind of pop up out of nowhere. And even that moment I also thought was a little odd because it's like, but I think, and then again, Funky is supposed to represent every bad promoter. So, he's talking bigger, better deal. So I think Funky was just literally looking for what's the biggest thing an escape artist is afraid of? Death. So we're going to have you die, but you don't die. Like it's the ultimate, making the moolah. Me, I kind of at one point thought Funky might have been all in his head, the way that he kept coming up out of nowhere and whatnot. But then I was like, but how can you play with a child if you're a figment?
Yeah, because they had to leave to go fight a war while Funky was watching the baby.
Yeah.
Right. But,
but again, it's the subjective matter of whether it was all in his head to begin with.
Right. But I got to say, 12 issues, to me flew by. Like this thing moved really well. The subject was very deep. You could really appreciate the multiple levels, but you could still laugh and nothing felt forced. It's all within the character. It's all moves at a reasonable pace. And I mean, like I said, for someone who knows basic, but not on a Jeremy level about the Forever People and New Genesis and Apocalypse and, all these characters.
It's some strange stuff going on in the fourth world. That was another funny conversation by the gods too. The guards, they're sitting there. They're like, what's the first, second, and third world? And the guy's just like, I don't think there are any. He's like, well, we're the fourth, so there has to be a first, right? It's very entertaining.
Just real quick, in 2019, Tom King tweeted, let me pull it up right here. So this was April 9th, 2019. Finally starting the follow-up to Mr. Miracle and Vision. Another 12-issue mini with a lot of ambition. I'm scared, but man, am I having fun. But that was in 2019, and he's... this came up my research. I didn't realize he's been tagged to write the New Gods movie.
Yeah.
Hold on, I thought that was dead. I thought I forget the director they had on it, but I thought because it was so tied to the Snyderverse that
October 30th, 2021, it was canceled.
Yeah. Which killed me because I was so hoping we were gonna get New Gods on the big screen.
Yeah, fuck.
I thought it could be like DC's Guardians of the Galaxy moment, because there's some weird shit going on there.
I think after Marvel crashed the Eternals, they were like,
maybe comic book fans aren't ready for Space Gods.
True. Especially, you're not going to have any real heroes they're going to know, like the mainstream people. They're going to be like, who the fuck's Orion?
But hold on a second. Yeah, I agree with that. But people said the same thing about Peacemaker. Who the fuck is Peacemaker? And now it's a phenomenal show. It's
maybe they should go that route with the show of it, or I don't know. They could totally do something in the universe to break them in at first and then expand. But I would love a New Gods movie. I just don't know how well the masses would receive it.
Well, I think Mr. Miracle as a character, that you could definitely have a lot of fun with him. He's definitely has his serious and goofy moments. But with the changing of the guard with DC, we don't know what's going to happen in the next couple years.
No, definitely don't.
It was fun when Scott was fucking with Calibuck. He's like, you're the forgotten son. No one cares about you.
It's like, fuck you.
Yeah, but it's kind of true. Like Calibuck always worked so hard for Darkseid's attention, and he just he
just doesn't care.
He does not give a shit. But okay, and also Leo, you had originally asked us a question. I want to give an answer. At one point, you said who would win in a fight, Thanos versus Darkseid?
Yes.
Darkseid all the way.
Thank you. 100%. It's
what did you say, Jeremy? I didn't hear.
Darkseid all the way.
I agree. I concur. Without the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah,
we're talking about comic book, not MCU, because we don't have enough movie Darkseid to rate him.
Darkseid doesn't need the
Infinity Gems.
The blah.
Gauntlet.
No. The Darkseid doesn't need the equation, the anti-life equation. So he would just destroy Thanos.
Yeah, you just unibeam his ass.
Yeah, you just omega beam him and send him back in time.
Yeah, we already saw the Vision do that in What If.
It's true.
Zoom, right in half.
Boom. But yeah, I'm sorry, Leo. That was a no-brainer because even I think if Thanos had the Infinity Gems, I still think Darkseid would wipe the floor because you've got cosmically powered, reality gems, but this is the new god of evil. He literally condemned a planet.
That's something I have to ask you, Drew. In this, they're talking. Barda is talking about having a cosmic rod. Is there a Starman connection there? Am I missing something?
No, I think what that is referencing to is her staff at one point was called the cosmic rod because it used condensed star energy. But that is also something that that Ted Knight's Star Rod was at one point called. It was called the cosmic rod because it drawed solar power from the stars. Which, funny enough, is a lot of the reasons that Starman, I think in the beginning at one point, was primarily a night hero because he got most of his power, and then they changed it. Oh, I could store energy and use it during the day. I'm like, yeah, that's fine, because they're totally stars in the day in space.
Yeah,
she could have been referring to something else as a cosmic rod.
The sun is.
You know what, Leo? You see, you know what, Leo? I caught that. Look at that. Yeah, you're funny, Leo. See, he's sneaking in the smut.
Well, there was a lot of Marvel and DC going on back and forth back in the day, opposing each other with copying. And so Cosmic was definitely popular because we had Legion of Superheroes, which was in the 60s and 70s, and they had Cosmic Boy.
Cosmic Boy. No, it's
got Cosmic Rods and, all kinds of things.
Yeah, it was a cosmically good time.
Eternals versus New Gods.
Oh, my God.
Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah. So I think that was a simple answer for all of us, Leo. Did you have an opposing view, or did you feel the same?
I feel the same, but I thought this could be something fun we could add weekly. Just a team up. It's that's the main question. A lot of us geeks want.
What's funny? I seem to recall during DC versus Marvel, was there a moment where Thanos and Darkseid met? There was, right? I'm not crazy.
I know Justin Jordan did a little web comic of Darkseid and Thanos being like buddies, like they hung out and stuff. I don't remember. That was pretty funny stuff. If anybody gets, Justin Jordan's like one of my favorite writers. He did Spread. I think it was Spread for Image, but like. I got on the dude's mailing list, and he sends me a cat card every Christmas. It's really cool. His cat's name is Tom Waits.
Dear God.
I know way too much about this man now. But yeah, he did a web comic of Thanos and Darkseid being like best buds and driving around in cars going to work and shit.
It makes sense because Thanos was literally kind of ripped off from Darkseid.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to remember what some editor in Marvel said that to Jim Starlin when he was basically creating Thanos. It was like, okay, well, if you're gonna rip off the New Gods, make sure it's Darkseid at least, God. So I was like, damn, dude.
It was JLA Avengers, and Darkseid actually wielded the Infinity Gauntlet, but it did not work.
Thank you.
Oh. Yeah, because it was in the wrong universe.
Different universe.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. You can't give Darkseid too much power. You got to give him.
I would just like to say thank you for Loki for giving us the Darkseid copter. I mean the Thanos copter. Thanos copter. That was awesome.
Thanos copter. Yep.
How come nobody's brought that to a con?
That Jeremy, there's a lot of budgeting there that I don't think the basic nerd is ready for. But yeah, so everyone, if you think it should be Thanos, let us know. If you agree that Darkseid yet again reigns supreme, again, let us know. Otherwise, we're all saying the Mad Titan would get his ass whooped. So
indeed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think we should rate the book. Who would like to go first?
Was this 4 cosmic rods? Crowbars, cosmic rods, because got to play with our joke.
We can do cosmic rods if Velvet Joker is okay. I
got no problem. Okay. You can wave your rod anytime you want, Drew.
You know what? That's not funny because I'm looking at my other cosmic rod right now. So shut up.
Right now, Drew, we just see like your nose down.
Whoa.
Now we're looking at your cosmic rod.
Cosmic rod. I'm sorry. I just got very relaxed listening to all of you talk. So I was like, I'm just going to lay down and just listen. It's like my favorite podcast, the Nerd Talk.
All right. Well, I guess I'm going to set it off. I'm going to give it a straight up 4 1/4 cosmic rods. Jeremy, what do you think?
I'll definitely go 4.75 cosmic rods.
4.75
I
rods.
mean, the first time I read through it, the kid stuff definitely brought a tear to my eye. Second time through, I caught a lot more of the PTSD and trauma, and like it's one of those books. Like I think I'll probably even read through it again some point because it's a good story.
We didn't bring up that the trade actually has a bonus issue in the beginning.
Oh, yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yes.
the storyline in the beginning is a bonus issue for the trade.
Ooh, okay, I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah. You know what, Jeremy? I'm gonna go with you. 4.75. I really enjoyed this. The real life aspect of it, and you know, the couple, you know, just them dealing with life itself along with the horrors of war is just, you know, the just amazing storytelling. You know, I'm one that I didn't mind Tom King's Batman run. I enjoyed it in the beginning, and it definitely dragged on a bit, but Tom King's just an amazing writer. So I enjoyed this.
I'd say his Batman run 1 through 50 was really good.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So, and I will
Though that crossover, when we were talking about crossovers earlier, I bought all in on that crossover. It had to been like 150 issues across every Bat title there was, and that's the last time I'll ever do that crap again.
Which crossover was that?
Death of the Family, I think it is. It's the Scott's. Oh no, that wasn't Tom King. I'm sorry, that's Scott Snyder. That was volume 2.
Yeah, you're thinking of the New 52, Death in the Family, the Joker with the peeled off face storyline.
Yeah,
that got really messy.
Oh my god.
The main storyline is great, but everything.
Yeah.
Not all those tie-ins were good. I agree with you. And for me, I want to give this 4.5. Because again, I thoroughly recommend it. I just very rarely do full 5 ratings. But honestly, I will thoroughly recommend this to anybody, even people who don't know the character. This is a great story because it's not just a story about Scott and Barda and everything. It's about war. It's about PTSD. It's about becoming a parent. You know, things that I have to be honest, I feel like people who are reading that would be older and they would really understand and sympathize with a lot of that.
Yeah,
especially
this is probably like a 30 to 40 range when you're going to start to really want to. It's more serious than just like a fluff story.
And it also worked because I feel like a lot of Kirby's stuff was very. It was very, I don't want to say innocent is the right word, but it was very lighthearted. But there were definitely dark, serious undertones in there. And I feel Tom King's reinterpretation of them put them in a modern light. And in some ways, it kind of made the new gods very human. And thoroughly enjoyed it. So
absolutely. Maybe in part 2 we can find out what Scott's real name is.
That's true. We never did find out.
I never knew Scott had a real name, and this once again brought that up. I'm like, hold on, he's got to have a real name. Like, I'm just like, I wonder if that's in any of the old issues that I just missed. Because like, you start off in issue 1 where like he's just an escape artist. Like, you don't really have the whole
backstory,
new Genesis story going on and stuff at first. He's on Earth and like it builds and keeps going around. So like, I wonder if, I think it's just scot free throughout the whole series, every like iteration.
Yeah, maybe. But so that's us. We all loved it. So everybody get a chance. Please read this book. It was very great.
Yes, a Eisner Award winner.
Indeed. Rightfully so.
Totally.
Yeah. And
Well-
we've all had trauma growing up, and this addresses different levels of it. So you'll definitely feel akin to it in some way.
Totally.
Well,
Well, I want to
not
thank.
count as therapy.
Really?
Damn
No.
it. I told them at court I was reading comics for therapy.
Okay. Leo, do your sign off.
I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. For me, just Google Leo Pond. You find a bunch of stuff. Could be true, could be not. I'm not going to say which is which, but I run a little thing called the Dorkening Podcast Network. Ton of awesome people doing a ton of awesome stuff. Head on over to thedorkening.com for more information on those shows. Jar, where do you like people interacting with you?
Come check out Comic Book Lovers Buy, Sell, Trade, and Auction on Facebook. We would love to have more members. We got about 25,000. We'd love more.
Nice. Drew.
Hi, everybody. I'm Drew. And, you can find me at Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Ghostbusterman1984. I do a lot of work with Screen Rant. I do a lot of stuff here with the Dorkening and Splash Pages. And, just an all-around interesting guy. So just if you hit me up, if I don't respond to you, it's because I'm a freaking pillow. So, all right, thank you. Have a good night.
Velvet.
How can I follow that up? But I am Velvet Joker, known as Rich Davis on Facebook. You can find me, Velvet Joker 2021, on the gram, and here every Tuesday night on the award-winning Splash Pages, a comic book club.
Awesome. That will catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye-bye.